Chapter 1, Second Chance. You are listening at novelful.audio. Thwack. A heavy boot slammed into the stomach of a skinny kid who looked like skin and bones. Did I tell you to bring more lunch money or what? You want me to starve, punk? The bully, short and stocky in his school uniform, spat, landing another kick. Liam doubled over, coughing up blood. Whoa, careful, man. Don't kill him. Another student nearby chimed in. Nah, this loser's a wimp, but he can take a beating. Right, Liam? You're the school's best punching bag, aren't you? That the bully raised his leg for another kick, but the school bell blared, grabbing everyone's attention. Alright, let's bounce. It's that old hag's class. I don't want to spend the evening in detention staring at her ugly face again. The group of beefy high schoolers casually strolled out of the alley, leaving their so-called punching bag behind. Liam lay still, silent and frozen, barely breathing, not because he feared the bullies, but because of something else entirely. Just moments ago, he'd been fighting for his life, battling for a heavenly elixir, but how could he compete with the monsters also after the treasure? He was just small fry. In the end, he was killed instantly. But instead of dying, he'd somehow gone back in time to 3 years ago, when it all began. As the seconds ticked by, Liam became more and more certain this wasn't a dream, no doubt about it. He had miraculously returned to his younger days, to high school. Before everything went to hell, it was as real as his pounding heart and the burning pain of his injuries. Liam was no stranger to pain. But what he wasn't used to was luck. That's right. He'd somehow gotten a second chance. Liam's lips curled into a smile as he pushed himself up, his body wobbling, but unlike his trembling body, his eyes were sharp and cold, swirling with a darkness that would have scared the bullies. I'm back. Liam grinned, slamming his bleeding fist against the vandalized wall. The thud and the jolt revitalized him. He limped out of the alley and headed straight home, skipping school. Liam dragged his bruised body towards his cramped apartment 10 blocks away. Though it hurt like hell, he wore a wide, almost manic grin as he neared his building. A familiar face popped out, instantly wiping the smile from his face. He'd been so focused on everything else, he'd forgotten about her. May. The words were a whisper as he rushed forward to hug his little sister. She's still alive. Liam trembled, holding her close. Brother. What happened? Are you crying? Did they hurt you bad again? The little girl looked up, pity in her eyes as she took in Liam's swollen and battered face. She immediately started to cry, tears streaming down her face. Liam was speechless. He'd always been terrible at comforting girls. Unsure what to do, he ruffled her hair awkwardly. Let's go inside and talk. The two went inside and Liam closed the rusted door behind them. It was just the two of them in the small apartment. Their parents had died in a construction accident a couple of years ago, leaving them alone, but Liam had somehow managed, securing the settlement money they deserved. He was like a dog with a bone. Even though he'd been cheated, he'd gotten enough to survive for a few years. With that money, he'd rented this cramped apartment in a rundown building in the slums, but none of that mattered now. Nothing mattered because everything was about to change. Liam looked around at the familiar and unfamiliar place. Anger and pain rose as he remembered everything that was to come. Clenching his fist, he collapsed to the floor, letting out a burst of wild laughter. Brother. Are you okay? The little girl blinked, staring at her brother, who seemed to have lost it. Heh. I'm fine, May. Don't worry, everything will be okay now. Liam stood up and heated a bucket of water to clean his injuries. His hands moved quickly, bandaging the cuts and splinting anything broken. He also popped a couple of painkillers, helping him think clearly. First things first. He needed to buy that item as soon as possible. Liam checked his injuries and changed into clean pants and a shirt. Brother, are you going back to school? It's almost late. Maylin asked worriedly. No, kiddo. I'm going somewhere else. Huh? Maylin was surprised. The grocery store. But it's not Sunday. They had a routine, So this was out of the ordinary. Liam ruffled her hair again, making the little girl pout. I'm going to the game store. I'll be back soon. Be good. Eh. 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 Chang Mei-lin stood at the doorstep, watching her brother leave. Game store. Since when does brother play games? Chapter 2, Preparations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With his hands in his pockets, Liam casually strolled into the electronics store on the corner. Hey, can I get a blood battle game capsule? The clerk looked up, surprised. This kid didn't look like he could afford such a high-end gaming setup. Those things cost a fortune. Gaming had exploded in the last decade, and gaming capsules were the latest craze. They let you log in for hours without having to leave, except maybe to grab a bite or hit the restroom. But blood battle? The clerk figured the young man in front of him wasn't exactly rolling in dough. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. Feeling a little bad for the naive kid, he said, "You sure you want that one? Blood battle isn't exactly popular. Why not Violet Garden or Eden's Hold? You can make more money playing those. I've got accounts in both, and I'm playing part-time to earn extra cash." The clerk chuckled, a little embarrassed. He wasn't much older than Liam and was stuck in the same grind. He understood. Liam listened patiently, but shook his head. Thanks for the advice. I'm going to stick with the blood battle gear. Seeing he wasn't going to change his mind, the clerk shrugged. He'd get a nice commission if someone actually bought that ridiculously expensive thing. All right. Give me your address, and I'll set up delivery. Half now, half on delivery. Liam smiled calmly and nodded. He swiped a card that looked almost brand new and finished the transaction. Ding. The machine beeped, swallowing a big chunk of the money he'd been saving. Gaming capsules were pricey, especially the blood battle one, which was top of the line. The game might stink, but the capsule was the best. Why did Liam want it? Because he knew something nobody else did. In a couple of days, every VR game would be inexplicably hacked and wiped out. It didn't matter if it was Blood Battle, Violet Garden, or Eden's Hold. Everything would vanish, replaced by a single game, Evolution Online, which could somehow be played on any capsule, no matter who made it. Computer experts and darknet hackers from all over the world would try to fix the problem and crack the mystery, but they'd all fail. No one would figure out anything about Evolution Online, the new game that would take the world by storm. But that was just the beginning. The real nightmare started after the first major update, when reality merged with virtual reality. People who could break rocks in the game would suddenly find themselves doing the same thing in real life. Abilities, superpowers, magic, darkness. It would all spill over from the game into the real world. And despite what you might think, it wouldn't be a good thing. The world would descend into chaos and an apocalyptic bloodbath. Governments would fall to guilds and kingdoms, and corporations would scramble behind them, trying to salvage whatever their money was still worth. It would be the start of a new era. Liam gripped his card, memories of the terrifying future flashing through his mind. He didn't know why or how he'd come back. But now that he was here, he was determined to get every advantage he could. That's why he'd chosen the best gear, even though it cost 5 times as much as the others. After giving his details and finishing the transaction, Liam left the store. He didn't bother explaining himself to the clerk. The guy had been nice, but Liam had lost faith in people a long time ago. Next, he went to the nearby convenience store and prepaid a bunch of money for electricity and higher bandwidth internet. Then, he hit the grocery store and bought a ton of supplies and non-perishable food. A few hours later, he was finally done with all the preparations and headed home. Liam looked at his card, which felt a lot lighter, and chuckled to himself. He was betting everything on himself. Some might call it reckless, but he knew this was his only shot to survive and change his and his sister's fate. Chapter 3, Log In. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bro. You sure about this? Mei-lin glanced at Liam, who was busy whipping up a feast on their single-burner stove. Totally. We're both growing, need all the good stuff we can get. Their studio apartment was tiny, so she could see him humming and sweating, a big smile on his face as he cooked up a storm. The smell was so amazing, she couldn't even focus on her homework. When did he learn to cook like this, anyway? Practically drooling, she got up and wandered over. Bro, what about school? You haven't been for the last couple of days. School, huh? He chuckled. Liam wanted to burst out laughing, telling her how pointless school was about to become, but instead, he just ruffled her hair. Your big brother's a dummy. I'm counting on you to study hard and help me out later. Ah, stop it, bro. She puffed out her cheeks in a pout. The two of them joked around for a while before diving into the food. It had been ages since Liam had eaten like this. In his last life, he'd lived like a stray dog. He was too weak to take care of his sister, and when the bad stuff happened, he couldn't save her, not this time. Never again. A flicker of coldness crossed his face, then vanished, replaced by his usual smile. They chatted and laughed until Mei-Lin went back to her homework, and Liam sat by the window, staring out. Just 6 more hours. The update, the Evolution Online thing taking over all the video games, was happening at 4 p.m. sharp. Liam looked over at the game capsule that took up half their living room, and now, even though the future scared him a little, he couldn't help feeling excited and restless. He had a rough plan in his head, so with nothing else to do, he set an alarm for 3:30 p.m. and tried to take a nap. No luck. He was too hyped up, and the sun was beating down like crazy. Even on the ground floor, the summer heat was brutal. Liam clicked his tongue, got up, and grabbed a couple of popsicles from the freezer. He handed one to Mei-Lin and started on the other. He watched his little sister, working away. Even while eating, he smiled. If you're gonna work that hard, guess I should get started too. Liam had planned to wait for the patch to begin, giving himself a break, but with his sister putting him to shame, he figured he could at least do some stretches. He stripped down to his boxers and started doing some weird exercises. He was still all skin and bones from not eating right for so long, so his moves were shaky and awkward, but within minutes, he'd steadied himself, bringing his body under control. Sweat poured down his skinny body, freaking Mei-Lin out. Bro! You're gonna break something. Ah! She shouted, watching him twist himself into a pretzel. First of all, he looked like a skeleton trying to exercise, and second, what was with these random poses? And when he did one pose she recognized, it scared her even more because he was doing a handstand, supporting himself on just one finger. Even with his sister's worried looks, Liam kept at it for another half hour before finally collapsing into a child's pose to relax. Suddenly, it was 3:50 p.m., and Liam knew it was time. Mei, come here. He waved her over. The door's locked now. Don't open it for anyone, no matter who knocks. Don't go outside. No school tomorrow. There's food in the fridge if you get hungry. If you're bored, watch TV. Do some jumping jacks or something, don't just sit around all day. And don't touch the game capsule, okay? Be a good girl, wait for me here, got it? Liam ruffled her hair, carefully giving her instructions. He knew his sister looked up to him and always listened, which was why he trusted her and hadn't bothered renting another apartment just for the capsule. After a few more do's and don'ts, he quickly hopped into the capsule, closed it behind him. Inside was pitch black, which was a good thing, otherwise people would freak out. The capsule was designed to make players feel like they were floating in empty space, at least until the game loaded. Once they logged in, their entire consciousness would be in the game, and they wouldn't feel the capsule at all. Still a couple of minutes until 4 p.m., so Liam logged into Blood Battle. All he had to do was say log in, and he was in. Instantly, a bloody sword, dripping thick red blood, appeared in front of him, his mind already pulled into the virtual reality. Welcome to Blood Battle. This. A robotic male voice started, but before it could finish the first line, the voice glitched, the image distorted, and the bloody sword vanished. Instead, in the darkness, a little gift box appeared, and Beethoven's Für Elise started blasting. Here we go. Liam clenched his fists, his breathing heavy, his heart pounding. Since he'd never seen this part before, he wondered what the gift box was. The little handle on the side of the box started to wind down, and in 5 seconds, the darkness shattered like broken, black glass. The gift box, the music, the darkness, all gone. Liam found himself standing, or rather floating, in the familiar bluish-purple sky. He could already feel the wind rushing past him. Chapter 4, Character Creation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liam took a deep breath and yelled, "I'm back." Without missing a beat, a voice popped up behind him, and he spun around, ready for the familiar greeting. "Welcome, Earthling. I'm Ileana, your guide for today." A tiny fairy with bright pink wings fluttered in the air. Liam, on the other hand, was only flying because of her magic. "This is Evolution Online, a brand new game. Want to be an adventurer in our world?" Ileana asked, dimples flashing as she grinned. "I'm in," Liam replied simply. It seemed like a simple question, but it was actually a formal consent, required from everyone who wanted to enter this game, this world. Really, back in his previous life, some people had even said no, and they were locked out for a month. By then, the game had exploded, and those latecomers were left eating dust, permanently behind. Plus, you couldn't create separate avatars or change your appearance. Everything from real life was mirrored in the game, and you only got one shot, no multiple accounts or do-overs. It was both a blessing and a curse. With the consent out of the way, the fairy launched into a brief introduction. "There are different classes." "No need," Liam interrupted. His brain was already overloaded with game info, and he didn't want to waste time. There weren't any secret perks for listening to the whole spiel anyway, so he cut her off. Ileana frowned slightly, but she moved on. "I'm going to scan your body now, player Liam, and your character will be finalized shortly after." Liam nodded, feeling a wave of energy wash over him. He suddenly felt exposed, like she could see right through him. Some might be impressed by the fairy's power, but he knew it was just a high-level inspection skill. After scanning him, she spun around, beaming. "Congratulations. You're ready to enter the amazing world of Xian. Best of luck, player Liam." Before Liam could react, the space around him warped, and he found himself in the middle of a crowded street. Whoa! What the heck is this game? I was playing something else and suddenly ended up here. This looks so real, doesn't it? I didn't know a video game could be this realistic. Why am I still fat in the game? Can't I change my avatar? Ugh. This sucks. Heh. Upset you can't catfish anyone. What? Most of these players are guys anyway. I don't see any girls. So, gender, age, and looks are set in stone. Good. At least when I'm with a girl, I know she's a girl. Alright, let's log off and find out more. I have no clue where to start. Liam was surrounded by players in the newbie village, all chattering loudly. Everyone was trying to figure out Evolution Online, which had been force-launched on their gaming capsules without warning. The game was also oddly realistic. You couldn't change anything about yourself, and you could move and feel things just like in the real world. It was a huge leap from other games on the market. Was this some kind of guerrilla marketing stunt? Nobody knew where the game came from or how they logged in. Usually, game companies heavily advertised such details at the beginning. Some even worried if it was like that anime where players were trapped in a game, and dying in the game meant dying in real life. They were hesitant to explore. Of course, more avid gamers dove right in, chatting with the local NPCs to get quests, the obvious starting point. Liam was one of them. However, he didn't wander around begging for quests. He walked out of the village until it quieted down. Okay. Let's check my status screen. Chapter 5, Starting Stats. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liam plopped down on a rock just outside the newbie zone and pulled up his character screen. A couple of players were already grinding, fighting rabbits and squirrels, the typical beginner monsters. Liam wasn't in a rush. He didn't even plan on leveling up yet. He calmly focused on his stats: name, Chong Liam, species, human, gender, male, level, 1, 0/200, title, N/A. Class, N/A. Health, 10 out of 10. Mana, 10 out of 10. Stamina, 2. Intellect, 2. Strength, 2. Defense, 2. Vitality, 2. Agility, 2. Ha! Liam chuckled, seeing his pathetic starting stats. He quickly closed the screen. Beginner stats ranged from 0 to 2, depending on the player's physical condition before entering the game. Liam had been malnourished, his body lacking any training, so it wasn't a surprise his starting stats were low. He'd started with the same stats before, but this time he knew what to do. A slight difference in starting stats could slow you down and push you to the bottom before the game even started. Liam sighed, shaking his head, and opened his inventory. Inside were worn-out pants, a mismatched pair of ratty shoes, a ripped sleeveless shirt, and a rusty longsword. These were the starter items everyone received, level 1 and mostly useless. Since Liam was currently in his underwear, he equipped the trash items. Each piece of clothing gave 1 defense point, boosting his total by 3. It wasn't much, but some NPCs got ticked off by seeing a half-naked player, and Liam couldn't remember every NPC's quirks. Better safe than sorry. Clothing issue resolved. Liam checked the map. New players usually spawned in newbie villages on the outskirts of towns and cities. Liam was in Coldwater Village. It was a small, resource-poor village in the northern part of the Gresh Kingdom. Okay. An hour's walk to the next town. Let's do this. He could reach the town faster, but Liam stuck to the main route used by villagers and merchants. He didn't want to run into any wild beasts and be forced to fight. It wasn't that he was too weak, he just wanted a clean slate. So, while everyone else hunted monsters and grabbed starter quests to level up, Liam leisurely walked to the next town. It took a little over an hour, but he arrived without incident. Towns didn't have entry fees, so he walked past the guards without a problem. If I remember right. Liam paused at the entrance to the bustling town, took a deep breath, and headed down the crowded streets. Basla town was much bigger than the newbie village, with stores, vendors, and even an auction house. Liam went straight to one of the flashier buildings on the north side of town, the bank. He didn't go inside. You needed a good reputation to borrow money. Instead, he went to a small building down the street with a sign that read Leilani's Pawn Shop. Inside, a fat salesperson grinned suspiciously when he saw Liam. Hello, young man. What brings you to my humble establishment? Liam rolled his eyes and replied bluntly. I need a loan of 100 gold coins. No point in sucking up to this guy. The loan sharks in the game were all cruel and cutthroat. Oh. That's a lot for a little fella like you. Good. Youngsters have to be ambitious. I like your guts. But should I give it to you? The shopkeeper tapped the desk, looking Liam up and down. Alright, lucky you. You don't look too reliable, but I'll loan you the money. What a scam. Liam sneered inwardly. The guy was full of hot air. He loaned money to anyone, the interest rates were just outrageous. Ding. Received a loan of 100 gold coins. Ding. Interest, 10 gold coins per day. Ding. If the full amount isn't returned within a week with interest, you'll be stripped of everything and permanently imprisoned. Ding. You are the first person to receive a loan. Ding. You have obtained the title Rolling in Debt. Rolling in Debt gives a 5% bonus on auction house settlements when equipped. Liam stared at the notifications, unsure whether to laugh or cry. The title hit a little too close to home, but he was happy about the bonus. He chuckled wryly and left the pawn shop. Chapter 6, Crafting Room. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liam clutched the small pouch holding 100 gold coins as he left the pawn shop, its weight noticeable in his hand. Back in the game, most players were still scrounging for copper, but he'd already borrowed 100 gold. The currency was simple enough. 100 copper coins equaled 1 silver, and 100 silver coins equaled 1 gold. Gold was top tier, but high-value items were often traded in gems, not coins. Each gem's value varied, ranging from several hundred to thousands of gold, so 100 gold coins was an insane amount for a level 1 character. Liam confidently walked from one street to the next, weaving through town until he reached the familiar trade building. He went inside and approached one of the open windows. Hey, "I'd like to rent a crafting room," Liam said to the sales representative. The woman nodded, pulling a medallion from under the desk. "That'll be 10 silver. Before paying, Liam grabbed a sheet of paper and a pen from the counter and scribbled a list. "I'd also like to buy these ingredients." He handed it over, her eyes widened slightly as she scanned the paper. Everything on it was extremely expensive, and she suddenly viewed the scrawny kid in front of her in a new light. "That'll be 100 gold coins total, sir. If you give me a few minutes, Lana, can personally deliver everything to your room." She batted her eyelashes, introduced herself, and gave Liam a flirty smile, amused, but not being a newbie and not having time to mess around with NPCs, "All right. Thanks," he muttered bluntly, heading to room number 5, as indicated on his medallion. Ding. "You have entered a crafting room. Ding. Your chance of success in crafting is now increased by 5%, Liam swiped away the system notifications. He sat down in the center of the small room, leaving the door open. Lana arrived, flashing a big smile. She bowed, greeting him again while subtly showing off her cleavage, and began unloading the items from her inventory. Within minutes, the small room was packed with things: a big cauldron, several packets of herbs, bones, vials of blood, and 2 large pails of clean water. Liam nodded in satisfaction. "That's all. Thanks." The NPC flashed another flirty smile before closing the door and leaving. "All right, here we go." Liam calmed himself and activated the rune on the cauldron by pressing his thumb on it. This rune allowed heat regulation, but that required a much higher level, tons of mana, and precise control. For now, he just pressed his thumb once to activate automatic heat regulation. Not ideal, but good enough for now. While waiting for the water to boil, Liam started unfolding the herb stalks. Ginseng. Maricarin. Linty root. Bonasitu. He held each herb, smelling it, recalling its texture and properties that were deeply ingrained in his mind. He'd been a slave once, forced to collect herbs from dawn till dusk with others in the mountains, but that was just the start, and honestly, it was one of his better memories. He'd experienced far worse. No dwelling on the past. Liam smiled bitterly and began adding the herbs to the boiling water in a specific order, following the recipe he remembered. In Evolution Online, there were many ways to get crafting recipes, but Liam was using a unique method, replicating everything from memory. Once the herbs were added, the boiling water turned light yellow. Liam then added the beast bones and blood, turning the liquid deep red. He quickly backed away as a powerful aura erupted from the cauldron. Ding, body cleansing low. Grade potion created. Ding, body cleansing low grade potion recipe obtained. Ding, you have acquired the trade skill alchemy. Ding, your alchemy skill proficiency has increased to beginner level. The room's temperature spiked, and Liam was drenched in sweat. The crafting room had become his personal sauna. Looks good enough. Liam nodded, then unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his thin frame. He removed his pants, shoes, and underwear, stepping naked into the sizzling cauldron. Ding, health -1. Ding, health -1. Danger notifications popped up, but Liam casually settled into the cauldron. It was a big vessel, but it was still awkward fitting his whole body inside, submerging himself under the boiling red liquid. Chapter 7, Training Hall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liam checked his status screen and saw his health ticking down. With only 10 points left, he held his breath and stared, knowing what was coming. His health dropped to March 10th, then stopped. The boiling water now felt cool and refreshing as the various essences mixed together. The deep red color of the cauldron's liquid slowly faded as Liam's body absorbed everything. He closed his eyes, enjoying the warm, nourishing feeling. Within an hour, the dark red liquid became almost transparent. But then, the color started changing again. The clear water slowly turned murky, with black, oily gunk floating on top. Surprisingly, Liam was the source. His pores leaked a greenish-black, sticky liquid. After absorbing the essences of herbs and bones, his body was expelling a ton of impurities. Soon, the cauldron was pitch black, the water transformed into a thick oil. Ugh. I stink. Liam pinched his nose and climbed out of the cauldron, tracking filth on the floor. Each room had its own bathroom, so he jumped into the shower, scrubbing until he felt clean. Though he still looked skinny, his body had a healthy glow, his skin flawless, the pimples and freckles on his face were gone, giving him a clean look. Liam quickly put his old clothes back on. The cauldron had an automatic reset rune, so he activated it, cleaning the cauldron inside and out. He opened his inventory, which only had 10 slots, and tossed the cauldron in. Hey, I'm done with the crafting room. He handed the room's medallion back to Lana, who stared at him, even more shocked. She could see he'd changed a lot in a short time. She wouldn't call him good-looking, since he was still too thin, like skin stretched over bones, but his features were sharper now, his black eyes seemed unfathomably deep. Lana gulped, realizing she was openly checking him out. She wanted to ask how he'd done it, but he'd already walked out, his back to her. Liam checked his status screen again. Name, Chong Liam, species, human, gender, male, level, 1/0/200, title, rolling in debt, class, N/A.health, 50/50.mana, 70/70.stamina, 10.intellect, 14.strength, 10.defense, 11.vitality, 13.agility, 12. Not bad, but I can do better. Liam clicked his tongue and headed for the town's main training hall. Though less crowded than the newbie village, the training hall still had a lot of traffic. Players stood in front of the brick building, attacking scarecrows with weapons and spells. This area was for learning basic skills from instructors, but some people stayed and repeated the same actions. It was a strategy to gain bonus stats, but time-consuming and boring. For example, swinging a sword continuously to push stamina could give a stat boost, but the next one would require even more swings. It wasn't efficient, but some perfectionists chased every advantage. Liam even saw women swinging swords. Women were rare, so he glanced at them before focusing on the instructor sitting in the corner with a stick. When Liam looked at the middle-aged man, the man met his gaze, radiating a domineering aura. Other players might have been intimidated, but Liam simply nodded and walked to an empty space in front of the training hall. He didn't plan on doing the basic exercises. He had more important things to do before time ran out. He put his rusty sword back in his inventory and took a deep breath before starting a series of movements. Chapter 8, Body Tempering. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey, who's the chump? Is he trying to get attention with those goofy poses? Dude, yoga's 3 blocks that way. Go do your cat-cow somewhere else. How embarrassing. He should just uninstall already. What a wimp. Look at that baby soft skin. I bet he's somebody's bottom. Liam didn't even register the jeers thrown his way. Using medicinal herbs and beast essences to flush impurities from his system was just the first step. To truly temper his body and mold it into a perfect vessel for absorbing mana, he had a long way to go, and out of everything, Liam was prioritizing this particular step first. He'd learned a lot of hard lessons the last time around, but the most important was the critical role of a solid foundation. If that foundation wasn't perfect, everything built on top of it would be flawed, forever barring him from reaching his full potential. So, Liam ignored the mocking stares and kept going through the series of body-tempering movements designed to purge the second layer of impurities from his flesh and muscles. These movements weren't some ancient secret or flashy technique. They were simple exercises, a mix of strength training and flow yoga, just like one of the guys said. This would become common knowledge in a month or so, but by then the game would have blown up, and a lot of people would regret not doing these basics when they had the chance. When it was the optimal time to condition their bodies, sure, they could do it later, but the results wouldn't be as good. And there was another reason Liam had picked the training hall, right in front of everyone, especially the instructor. It was the trigger for a unique quest. Liam kept at it, his body slick with sweat as he contorted himself into various positions. Almost 3 hours passed. People came and went, watching him for a minute before chuckling and wandering off to do their own thing. Only a few stuck around, observing Liam from the start. These were the players grinding against the scarecrows for extra stats. How long do you think this fool's gonna keep going? I wanna see what the idiot gets for all this. A tall, lean, muscular guy said, swinging his sword skillfully at the training dummy. Standing next to him were two striking young women, probably in their early 20s. They were slender with nice curves and attractive features. The redhead on the right chimed in, "Why don't you worry about your own progress instead?" "Come on, Alex, don't be like that." The tall guy sighed, and Alex just scoffed. "This is taking too long. I don't think there's any point in watching anymore." "Let's go," Mia said, the blonde with long, curly hair. "Ah, but I really want to see what he's doing." "Shut up, Ray. You can waste your time if you want, but Alex and I are leaving." Okay, sis, please. Don't get dramatic." Ray folded like a cheap suit, caving to his two headstrong sisters, but he only did it because, unlike his other girlfriends, his sisters were gaming monsters. They could have easily gone pro, but they just played for fun now and then. With him, all three of them came from wealthy families and didn't need to work to pay the bills. Their investments alone would take care of the next 9 generations. They'd only logged into Evolution Online because of the hype surrounding it after it hacked and crashed all the other games. Since everyone in the news were talking about Evolution Online, they decided to see what the fuss was about. Ray didn't want to miss this chance to be carried by the two goddesses, so he tagged along to explore this new, mysterious world. They chatted and quickly got bored of grinding for bonus stats. They went to the training hall to pick their classes. Players could choose a specific class to play anytime after level 1, but once they picked one, they were stuck with it. Choosing a class wasn't as simple as tapping an option on a menu. Chapter 9, Unique Quest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as the trio stepped into the training hall, the instructor shot out of his chair, stopping them cold. They watched him curiously. He'd been planted in his seat the whole time, just looking down at the new players. "What's up with him?" Ray asked, watching the instructor head toward the corner where the Joker was still doing his thing. "Maybe this triggers a quest," Mia suggested. "Or the instructor finally can't stand the eyesore and is gonna toss him out," Alex deadpanned. They watched as the instructor stopped in front of Liam, looking up at him with reverence. "You're almost there. Keep going." He even started cheering him on. The other players were completely dumbfounded. This instructor, who'd been gruff and rude to them, was being nice to the skinny weirdo. Where's the justice? Some tried copying Liam, but the instructor was laser-focused. He didn't even notice, so everyone just watched as the instructor continued encouraging Liam. Then, a few minutes later, something weird happened. Instead of sweat, Liam's body started oozing something black and nasty, stinking up the whole place. "What the heck? Did he just fart? This stinks." Everyone scrunched up their noses, but the instructor beamed. "Well done, lad." He patted Liam, who stopped moving, stood up straight, and bowed slightly. "It's been a long time since I've seen a young man like you. I see the fire in your eyes. Your will and determination burn bright. You have the grit to do the impossible. Young man, do you want perfection? Absolute power." The instructor's words dropped jaws. It was obvious to everyone that Liam was getting a quest, and not just any quest. This had to be special. A hidden quest. Maybe even a unique one. Special quests usually had better rewards, but hidden and unique quests were much rarer and more coveted. Unique quests only happened once. After one player finished it, the entire questline disappeared. Since Evolution Online was brand new, nobody knew for sure, but they could all tell this was something big. To make it worse, they could only hear the first part of the conversation. After that, it was silent. Only Liam could hear the instructor, and he was grinning. "Years ago, during a deadly hunting expedition, I found this small vial." The instructor handed Liam a glass vial with a serious expression. Liam accepted it with reverence, and he wasn't faking it. This vial was a lifesaver. A friend analyzed some of the liquid and found that it's priceless. It can cleanse impurities from the very core of your being. I'm past my prime, and my body's too damaged to heal. So, I can't use it. But if you help me, I'll give it to you. First, I want you to destroy the beast that crippled me. Bring me its head. I want to spit on it every day, ding, unique chain quest activated, ding, quest cannot be refused, ding, kill the bear king Barabara and bring its head to the training ground instructor, Liam smiled. His intel was good, that's the thing about unique quests. The person who gets it usually keeps it to themselves unless they're an idiot, but Liam was confident about this one. The guy who originally got this quest was the bully who tormented him his whole life. He'd brag about the quest and beat Liam repeatedly, while Liam watched him get stronger and stronger. All because of one quest. But now, Liam had taken the first step. He'd stolen someone else's destiny and made it his own. Chapter 10, Explosive Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's my honor to get revenge for you, Senior. Liam grinned, bowing and accepting the quest instantly. Without hesitation, he uncorked the vial and drained every last drop, Sheila. A sudden, powerful gust of wind whipped up, and loud whooshing noises startled everyone on the training ground. Some players even ran off in fear. Liam was enveloped from head to toe in swirling winds, which, to a skilled eye, were actually waves of mana forming a cocoon around him. The few drops of liquid in the vial were breaking down and reconstructing his entire body, meridians, blood vessels, bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, and every inch of his flesh. Liam's homemade alchemy potion was garbage compared to these few drops. One was trash, the other, a low-grade, but heavenly elixir. More importantly, this quest was the first step toward obtaining the highest-grade legendary blood elixir, which is why Liam prioritized this quest chain above all others. Your body is your foundation. It's the core upon which everything else is built. Without a perfect vessel, mind, soul, mana core, everything crumbles. You can't overstate the importance of body tempering. When the mana cocoon finally shattered, Liam stepped out, his body completely transformed. He looked like a different person. His eyes were sharp and sword-like, his black pupils seeming to hold the entire universe. His long, inky black hair swayed in the gentle breeze. His skin was as white as snow, without a single scar or blemish. His body, once just skin and bones, now sported defined muscles. His lean physique looked sculpted to perfection. While his appearance was still familiar, all imperfections had vanished, leaving behind a flawless body. Liam, who once looked like a cowardly stray dog, now possessed the charm and charisma of an immortal. Status. Name, Liam. Species, human. Gender, male. Level, 1/0/200. Title, Rolling in Debt. Class, not applicable. Health, 150/150. Mana, 250/250. Stamina, 50. Intellect, 50. Strength, 50. Defense, 50. Vitality, 50. Agility, 50. Liam clicked his tongue, satisfied. Now that's what I call a perfect start. He grinned wildly, while everyone on the training ground stared in shock, unable to understand what had just happened. The fool who'd been making random movements and weird poses had suddenly received a mysterious quest and undergone some kind of magical transformation. They could even feel a powerful, violent aura radiating from him, an aura of pure strength. But they were just bystanders, left to watch with their jaws dropped as the unbelievable scene unfolded. Ah! You're a genius. The instructor clapped, his eyes shining with admiration. Thank you, Senior. Could you also help me choose a class? Liam asked casually, picking up his rusted sword. The two chatted and walked into the training hall, leaving everyone dumbfounded. What the hell just happened? The game just started, right? Whoa. Sis, did you see that? Ray punched his palm. I have eyes, Ray, and I'm standing right next to you. What do you think? Mia muttered absently. Oh. Right. Let's follow him and see what class he picks. Maybe he'll get offered some special hidden class. The three entered the training hall just as the instructor signaled to the guards, who slammed the doors shut. What the hell? Let us in. Why the special treatment? A few voices slipped in from outside, but the guards ignored them, bolting the doors without a word. Phew. Ray wiped his forehead as the three followed Liam and the instructor toward the training hall's testing center. Some players were already loitering in the training hall, having arrived earlier to test their aptitude and choose a class. So it wasn't a complete lockdown, but it helped keep the crowds down. Liam wasn't concerned with any of that. With everything he had planned, keeping a low profile was impossible, and he didn't have time to worry about those details.